Hi, and good morning on this Tuesday. Overall, we're in pretty good shape if you're expecting.
Also, overnight, crews responded to another fire at a strip mall that was already heavily damaged from a fire. The University of Colorado is hoping to have the greenest field in the college football season this year.
Overnight, because I didn't have any power, and I knew trying to get out of my neighborhood down there in the Highlands Ranch area was just going to be nearly impossible. As soon as we saw those temperatures drop into the 20s, that's when we saw the snow start to stick to the roadways.
Right now, Ann, this is a space shuttle just about to go, just entering the coast here of Africa, about to fly over South Africa.
That's right,
and because this week is designated as National Stop on Red Week. Yes, there is such a thing.
Really, it's easy to be a puffer. All I have to do is pull up here, just get out of my car like this, leave it running while I run into the store.
But Mike, I am not kidding about this. 10 minutes ago, there was nothing here, nothing. Look at this.
Unexpected rock slide.
Now, one of the most effective techniques installed so far on mountainsides has been rock fencing.
Fortunately, yeah, the shoes are still going to come off. That 3-ounce liquid rule will still be in place, but it makes for a flooding mess. What I also want to show you is just right over this way, right on
9, along with photojournalist Brian Willey, and the fire has erupted over the last few hours here outside of Denver. Beijing Olympics begin in just a couple of days, but this crowd is all ready now. The basketball star Yao Ming, you see him carrying the torch out of China's symbolic Tiananmen Square there in Beijing. He's one of the torchbearers who will carry the flame for the last days before it opens the Summer Games on Friday. U.S. Olympic cyclists arriving in Beijing are not taking any chances with the pollution there. They arrived this morning wearing protective masks while they're appearing to have less haze there over the city. The athletes say they're just trying to be careful.
Who knows how bad it's going to be in a few days, so if you can resist any air pollution, any contaminants, then it's better performance, hopefully. I mean, really, it's all.
Beijing's polluted air has been one of the biggest worries for Olympic organizers. Last month, they pulled off half the cars of the road and closed many factories as well. 60% of the trees in one part of Boulder County will be chopped down. That's riled up some folks who live nearby. Open Space and Mountain Park says there are just too many trees on Bald Mountain, and that's making the forest unnatural and unhealthy. They say it's thinning that'll help prevent the wildfires and the spread of the pine bark beetle. But residents say they've just gone too far.
We understand the need to do something. We don't want to save every tree, but we also don't want to produce an area that's been overly logged and has all the ground cover torn up and basically destroyed.
And what we are trying to do now as natural resource managers is to try and create small pockets that look like what this forest would have been like before humans had an impact.
That project will be finished in another couple of months. They'll restore that area over the fall and the spring. The University of Colorado is hoping to have the greenest field in the college football season this year. And we're not talking about the color of the grass. The school is replacing garbage cans with recycling and composting bins. Concessions will also be served in environmentally friendly materials. Taking a look at your traffic, once again, the biggest problem is going to be I-225 near Mississippi. That accident still causing some pretty hefty delays, unfortunately, for us here this morning. You can see it's a very tough drive on I-225. Also, lots of sunshine, Richard, for us to deal with on this morning's commute.
It looks like the sunshine will give way to afternoon clouds. And Jason, we are talking about thunderstorms this afternoon. Temperatures today back into the 80s.
Right now it is 6:57 this morning. We're going to have a beautiful day. More coming up on 7 News in just a few moments. Good morning. I'm Jayson Luber here. Today is Wednesday, July 30th. You may already know there was an earthquake in California yesterday. Well, some TV shows were being taped when it happened. Coming up, we'll show you exactly what that looked like. But first, we want to get you caught up on your traffic and weather together. We're going to first start out on I-70, where we had a couple of problems, one an accident and a grass fire around I-70 in Quebec. Both have been cleaned up, but still some delays in the area out there, not only on I-70, but also right around Quebec. And then we've had some delays getting in and to the Denver Tech Center, just some heavy traffic on that I-25 drive, Lisa, down to the south side.
And you can see all that sunshine on our cameras there. Expecting another gorgeous day from our Crested Butte camera. Beautiful blue skies. A hot one, though. Average for today, 88. The record 101 set back in 2005. Temperatures again flirting with that record. By this afternoon, Jason, a high of 97, hot and toasty.
Hot, toasty, and very dry. New for you this morning on 7 News, President Bush has just signed a new housing bill. This has happened within the last hour. The legislation is the most significant in decades, offering mortgage relief for 400,000 struggling homeowners, and it's intended to stabilize financial markets. Now to presidential politics, as presidential candidate John McCain back in Colorado today. He and his wife Cindy arrived out at DIA last night. He signed a few autographs before heading off to a private fundraiser. According to the Washington Post, he made over $3 million at that event. McCain is scheduled to speak this morning at Wagner Equipment in Aurora. That company, it rents and sells construction equipment. On another note, McCain got good news from his doctor. A skin biopsy done a couple of days ago on a patch of skin on his right cheek showed no evidence of cancer. Meantime, Democrat Barack Obama has held a closed-door meeting with House Democrats. Lawmakers say Obama talked about executive orders telling the group he would redirect his attorney general to find any infringements on people's liberty. Presidents can issue executive orders to direct operations of agencies like the Justice Department and the CIA. New for you this morning, 2 residents escaped their burning apartment in North Glen as crews were called to Grant Drive near East 112th just before 2 a.m. They immediately called a second alarm because flames were shooting from the second-floor bedroom. Crews managed to keep the fire contained to the room, and all the residents of the building have been let back inside. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Also overnight, crews responded to another fire at a strip mall that was already heavily damaged from a fire. You may have seen this video of it yesterday morning right here on 7 News this morning. The fire caused more than $750,000 in damage to the shops on Alameda near Ironton. Around 12:30 this morning, a fire restarted in that strip mall. Crews believe this was just a result of the smoldering embers from yesterday. The cause is still under investigation. There are some frayed nerves in Southern California this morning after an earthquake rumbled through the region yesterday. The Los Angeles City Council was about to take a vote, and across town, TV's Judge Judy was listening to a case when the 5.4 quake hit shortly before noon. The quake was centered about 30 miles east of L.A. in Chino Hills. You can see everybody running for the doors there. The shaking lasted a good 20 seconds, and people running into the streets. A wall came down, bricks came off buildings, bottles crashed off store shelves, and a kitchen was unwantedly redecorated.
Felt like the house was literally going to fall on my face, just completely cave in. It was moving from left to right. It felt like it was never going to end.
My first earthquake, I didn't know what it was. I thought something hit the building.
Yeah, pretty scary there. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured and no major damage was reported. CSU students, faculty members, and others came to celebrate the life of a graduate student killed by a lightning bolt on campus. About 100 people gathered last night for a memorial service honoring Will Slimko. He was remembered for his sense of humor, his concern for students, and his well-publicized recent research linking bumper stickers to road rage. Students have built a makeshift memorial on campus at the site of where he and another student were hit by lightning last week.
Just to have someone that influenced you so much personally, especially with your career and your life goals, and just to have such a great mentor gone, it's really hard.
The other graduate student that was struck by lightning is still in critical condition and still in intensive care. The defense attorneys for a Denver man accused of starving a 7-year-old boy to death say it was acute diabetes and not lack of food and water that killed that child. John Phillips is accused of first-degree murder in the death of Chandler Graffner. In opening statements yesterday, prosecutors told the jury John Phillips repeatedly denied the boy food despite his pleas. They say Phillips locked Graffner in a small closet after the boy talked to his school teachers about the abuse at home.
Because after he talked about the bad things, that's where they took him and kept him away from the rest of the world.
Phillips' defense team says Graffner's diabetes left his body in an emaciated state and insisted the boy was being fed. A young Alamosa father will be sentenced today in the death of his six-month-old daughter. She died last September from a closed head injury. 28-year-old Cody Lakey pleaded no contest to charges of reckless child abuse causing death in June. He could receive up to 20 years in prison. Taking a look at traffic here today, we're doing pretty well. We still have that situation out on I-70 in Quebec with a car fire and an accident that's still being cleaned up. And good news for us down south that we're not seeing too many problems, Lisa, between downtown and the Denver Tech Center.
And temperatures by 9 o'clock, close to 82 degrees, 90 by noon, and a high of 97 and mostly sunny this afternoon.
And coming up on 7 News, a new push for offshore oil drilling, how the president hopes to get members of Congress to change their minds. And you may no longer have a choice of whether to lease or buy. Coming up, how some car companies are changing their lease policies.
We want to get you caught up on your traffic and weather together. Mitch is over with Jason. Well, the volume is low, and that's the good news, but for the folks who are out there, there are some accidents.
Oh, yeah, there are, and we've had a bunch of them. They've been pretty significant, and hopefully the volume will stay low. A lot of folks are off school today, so that means people are going to probably call off work and say, well, I got to stay home with my kids. So hopefully we'll see that volume down. One of the latest accidents, this one, southbound I-25. Right there, you see at the Washington Bridge, all this activity right here for a multi-car accident on the southbound lanes. Traffic squeezing by on the far right side. The northbound side, you can see some of the blowing snow, the slush conditions, the snow-covered roads for us here this morning, and that's what we're going to have to deal with all across Metro Denver. Also had some accidents early this morning along I-70 near Quebec, near Colorado Boulevard. Those have been cleared up. We still have a Cherry Creek Dam Road closed because of the adverse conditions that we had last night. I'll let you know when that reopens. I expect it to later on today. We have Highway 86 out of Franktown closed down over to I-70. You can still see the snow falling here at Happy Canyon between the Castle Rock area and the Denver Tech Center. Out to the west, we've had a lot of tough driving conditions. There's somebody off to the side there. We've had the semis hanging out. We need chain laws and four-wheel drive to get up Mount Vernon Canyon along I-70, and tough driving conditions also out farther to the west with the snow still falling, Mike, up there at Fall River, right near the Idaho Springs area. Loveland Pass also remains closed down with a lot of chain laws to the west.
And the snows do continue to the west.
7 News traffic reporter Jayson Luber out at CDOT headquarters has an insider's view on the road conditions. So how are they looking now, Jason?
Now they're still looking pretty tough, and it's really because of the falling temperatures that we saw. Most of the day, the temperature was around 30, 31 degrees, keeping the roadways wet. And as soon as we saw those temperatures drop into the 20s, that's when we saw the snow start to stick to the roadways. We can see here, this is I-70, a little bit farther east to where Mark Stewart was reporting at I-70 Colorado Boulevard. This is out by DIA, out by the airport. And you can see this is the ramp to go to Pena Boulevard. Pretty slick conditions for us here. And then as we look at some of the other cameras, including I-25 and University, decent traffic volume, not as heavy as a usual Friday, which is good news because this morning's rush hour was so light. We are seeing some heavy traffic in areas, including here through the Denver Tech Center, where we had whiteout conditions about an hour and a half or so again. That was going to be a tough drive for us all the way down into Douglas County. And you can see the 6th Avenue commute. That's not horrible for us. So we've seen some traffic volume. We've had about 12.5 accidents or so off the freeways. Those are going to be some tough areas as we've had some slick intersections, unfortunately. And so it looks like this evening's rush hour is going to get better. It's just going to take some time to get there. CDOT, as well as all the cities, are trying to scrape all this snow off those roads and make them a little bit better for you here this evening. Reporting live at CDOT Operations Center in Golden, Jayson Luber, 7 News.